Welcome to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. On behalf of my fellow council members, I thank you for the respect you are showing by being present this morning. It is with the utmost gratitude that we honor the individuals whose names are on these monuments and our veterans who have served our nation. Our special thanks go to the Paramount Elks Club for maintaining this tradition year after year. Specifically, I want to recognize the club's exalted ruler, Dolores Sanchez, their chaplain and event chairperson, Gemma Garcia, and all others who worked on this event. We appreciate your dedication. And let's give a special Paramount welcome to our guest speakers, Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard and Sergeant Major Rodney Rumblin. The city's first war memorial was established in 1955 in Paramount Park by the 2030 Club. The Elks created an expanded memorial here in 1973. This was a fitting place since the Paramount Post of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, established in 1944, was located on this corner. When the city refashioned the memorial a few years ago, we added this sculpture entitled Upholding. The globe at the top is made of white Colorado Yule marble, the same stone used for the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery, as well as the Lincoln Memorial. These monuments specific to each conflict feature the names of 43 Paramount men. They are etched here forever. 13 of them died in World War II, 7 in Korea, 23 in Vietnam. Each name will be related to you in a moment. The veterans with us today will be recognized as well. At the same time, we must remember and pray for all Paramount residents currently in the armed services. Many of those individuals are recognized on our Boulevard of Heroes. I hope you've noticed those banners on Paramount Boulevard between Somerset and Rosecrans. Today is one of the most important days in the story of our country. So thank you to the Elks Club again, and thank you to everyone else for joining us this morning. Thank you.
So we are here together in beautiful Paramount, California, along with others across America, cities and towns today. Flags will be placed on the graves and cemeteries. Public officials will speak of sacrifice and valor for those whose memories we honor. The preferred name for the holiday gradually changed from Decoration Day to Memorial Day, which was first used in 1882. Memorial Day is a federal holiday in the United States for remembering the people who died while serving the National Armed Forces. Memorial Day not to be confused with Veterans Day. Memorial Day is a day of remembering men and women who died while serving, whereas Veterans Day celebrates the service of all U.S. military veterans. On Memorial Day, the flags are flown, as you have witnessed, at half-mast, when the whole nation, like us, are in mourning, from sunrise until noon only. The half-staff position remembers those 1.2 million men and women who gave their lives in the service of this great country. At noon, the flag will be raised briskly to the top of the staff until sunset. This signifies that our nation's battle heroes' memory is raised by the living. Please, at this time, take a moment of silence to provide our thoughts and prayers for not only the 1.2 million, but those that are personal, honoring Paramount residents who have lost their lives in battle, and as well as the local veterans. Please take that pause for about 20 seconds, please. Thank you. My experience. I am confident by serving has reflected the change and the progress that we have made. We've gone from a threat-based force to capabilities-based force fighting force. For my first 6 years, I served the Army where our primary mission was being ready for an imminent war to defeat the Soviets on the plains of Europe. My last 24 years serving in the Army projecting power throughout the world, responded to hostile crises wherever they may have been, shaping the security environment for today and tomorrow alike. During my tenure of my service, personally witnessed the cruelty of loss of life during peace and war while serving. Serving shoulder to shoulder with my brothers and sisters, knowing the reality that us all that are serving are not in harm's way, because I'd be dreaming if I thought that, okay? Losing these warriors in which were taken much too early in their lives, both here and on foreign lands, far away from home, and their families, bringing a new perspective in my life during these solemn moments. Knowing, however, that the need to honor and to comfort these brothers and sisters as they move to their final resting place in the nation. Which would like to share a poem by Theodore O'Hara, okay, Where Valor Proudly Sleeps, Bivouac of the Dead. Bivouac, by definition, is a temporary camp without tents or cover, usually used especially by soldiers. The poem reads, The muffled drum, sad roll, has beat, the soldier's last tattoo. No more on life's parade shall meet the brave and the fallen few. On fame's eternal camping ground, their silent tents to spread, and glory guards with solemn round, the bivouac of the dead. End of this prestigious poem. So may each continue to rest in peace, and I will never forget them, while knowing each of them would have done the same if I would have fallen. Love you, brothers and sisters, and I'll never forget them. Lastly, never forgetting on Memorial Day is my wife Grace of 30 years, being by my side while I served in our best nation in the world. Having her great uncle as a Medal of Honor recipient by the name of Staff Sergeant Ambrosio Guillen, U.S. Marine Corps, who made the ultimate sacrifice while defending our nation during the Korean War. Staff Sergeant Ambrosio Guillen, a young 23-year-old Latino from El Paso, Texas, was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor of the United States, which is the highest military award for valor, for his heroic actions and sacrifice, losing his life on July 25th, 1953, 2 days before the ceasefire during the Korean War. He was responsible for his infantry platoon turning an overwhelming attack into a defeat and a disorderly retreat. Again, we will never forget his sacrifice. We are reminded today that our nation's democracies and freedoms are protected by individuals willing to make these huge sacrifices. Knowing that many veterans are gathered today and around the nation in which find themselves supporting each other. And at this time, if the veterans could stand, why we give them the appropriate greeting, the applause. Thank you. We must always remember that peace is fragile, that needs constant vigilance. We owe them a promise to look over the world with a steady gaze and perhaps a resigned toughness, knowing that we have adversaries in the world and challenges, and the only way to meet and maintain the peace is by staying strong. Ladies and gentlemen, standing before you on my north flank, or your north flank, our north flank, those who emulate, in my opinion, the example to the concept. They are representing the nation, state, city, school district, parents, and most importantly, themselves. This is the reason the old Sergeant Major standing up here continues to maintain excellence. By example, and show them that there are more better than a few who are not, and instill the values that will change their lives as they journey ahead positively and affecting those around them. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, this is our next generation. The cadet that is going to come up to the podium will give the cadet creed, and it is the cadet creed that they live by. Again, I think you would also agree that they are very special individuals wanting to carry on our great nation's values.
This cadet's grade is, I'm an Army Junior Altice Cadet. I always connect myself to bring credit to my family, country, school, and cadets, corps cadets. I'm loyal and patriotic. I'm the future United States of America. I do not lie, cheat, or steal. Always be accountable for my action and deeds. I always practice good share patriotism. I work hard to improve my mind, strengthen my body. I will seek the master leadership and stand parallel to the Constitution, make away life. May God grant saints always live by this creed.
Please give him a round of applause. As he returns to his battalion, they're going to go ahead and do the battalion motivation.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. At this time, I would like to call upon the Honorable Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Alared.
Thank you very much, and let me apologize in advance for having to leave. I'm trying to make a third event in the City of Commerce this time. I just came from East Los Angeles. First of all, let me just say thank you for the privilege of joining you to honor the members of our armed forces who have given their lives in service to our nation. On this special day of remembrance, we reflect on the heroism and patriotism of our fellow Americans who left to serve our country but never returned home. In many local communities, that tribute is personal for the moms, dads, spouses, children whose loved one paid the ultimate price in defense of our country. In my immediate family, my father lost his youngest brother during World War II. For me, while not a member of my family, the one I think of most is Private First Class Eugene Obregon. As many of you may know, I was born and reared in Boyle Heights. Our next door neighbor was the Obregon family. One day when I was 9 years old, I heard heart-wrenching cries of anguish coming from the Obregon house. My father rushed over to find out what had happened, and when he returned, my siblings and I were told that the cries of agony were coming from Mrs. Obregon, who had just learned her son Eugene had been killed by enemy forces in Korea. We later learned how Eugene lost his life. He was in Seoul, serving as an ammunition carrier for a machine gun squad that had been pinned down by hostile fire. He left his covered position to attend to a fallen Marine, dragging him to safer ground. After seizing the Marine's shoulder rifle, Private Obregon used his own body as a shield to protect his wounded comrade, firing at the enemy until being fatally wounded by machine gun fire. He was just 19 years old when he died. For his courage and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty, President Harry S. Truman posthumously awarded Private Obregon the Medal of Honor, the highest award bestowed upon an individual in the armed services for valor in action against an enemy force. Mrs. Obregon's cries were forever seared in my young mind, and they have been a constant reminder of the horrors of war and the incredible and painful sacrifices made to protect our country, not only by our men and women in uniform, but by their families. I tell you this story about this remarkable young man who fought to protect our freedoms and sacrificed his life to protect his fellow Marine, because for me He and his family stand as a symbol of our community's history of patriotism, courage, and love of country. Like so many heroes and their families across our nation, he exemplifies our community's valor and devotion to protecting the blessings we have to enjoy of peace and liberty at home, to speak and worship freely, assemble without fear, and to pursue our dreams. President Franklin Roosevelt once said about our fallen warriors, "He stands in the unbroken line of patriots who have dared to die that freedom might live and grow and increase its blessings. Freedom lives, and through it, he lives, in a way that humbles the undertakings of most men." Those words hold true of Private Eugene Obregon and all our countrymen and women who paid the ultimate price fighting to preserve and promote the ideals and freedoms we share as Americans. Today, we will hear a familiar Civil War melody. That melody we know as taps. Taps instills in us mixed emotions of sadness and pride in the heroism and patriotism of those we lost. Each time we hear it played, it has new meaning and the added sadness of more fallen heroes to honor and grieving families to console. With sadness, resolution, and reverence, Taps bears simple witness to the fact that while we mourn those we lost, we do so with the firm knowledge they died in service of a worthy cause, fighting the forces of hate and in defense of democracy, justice, and freedom. So let us leave here today comforted and inspired by the courage and sacrifice of our fallen patriots and by their resolve that freedom can triumph over tyranny and fear. Let us leave here committed to do our part in defense of democracy, justice, and the freedoms we all hold dear. And that includes paying to our veterans the tributes and all the services that we have promised them when they come home. They are services that they have not only earned, but so richly deserve. Again, thank you for the privilege of being with you today. God bless you, our troops, those who today stand in harm's way, our veterans, and God bless the United States of America.